Alrighty then. Looks like we are live. Just give me 1 minute to do a couple quick shares here on my other pages. And while I do that, be sure to say hello. Let me know where you're logging in from. And if you celebrated the Thanksgiving holiday, what was your favorite thing you ate? Or we're going to do an option two. An option two, if you did or didn't celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday, regardless if you did or didn't, what is one thing that you are thankful for right now? It could be anyone, it could be anything, it could be food, it could be the clothes on your body. Whatever that is, name off one thing you're thankful for, and it's going to give me enough time here to just share this on my other Facebook pages. And let's make sure this computer is going to go slow enough. We're broadcasting simultaneously on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So we're giving this a shot. Instagram, it's good to see you. Good to see you all on here. It's been a while. Share in a group. Okay, let me do this real quick. See if this will let me. Hey, Linda, how are you? Good to see you on here. This is going to go to. Okay, so say hello, where are you logging in from? If you celebrate Thanksgiving, what was your favorite thing you ate? Whether you did or didn't celebrate Thanksgiving, name one person, thing, something that you were thankful for. And then we're going to get started. And we have an important message to cover today that I hope you all will find a lot of value in. Leanne, hey, Leanne, how are you? Okay, I think we're set. Dina, hey, Dina from San Jose, good to see you on here. Okay, oops, let me get my camera switched back over. Oops, not letting me see stuff that way, that's totally fine. But we can see it this way, which is what matters. Or maybe I can't see it this way, shoot. Well, we'll find out. Okay, it looks like the computer is going to be a pain in the butt, but that's fine. We're going to work through it anyways. All right, so let's dive into today's Facebook Live, Carpe Diem moments, Carpe Diem insights, whatever we need to really lock that down. But I want to talk about, oh, there we go. It seems like it's working now. I want to talk with you all today. So today's topic is going from extraordinary to ordinary. What the fuck, WTF happens? So WTF, what in the happens, right? And I want to share with you a couple stories that I think are really great examples of this, that I encourage you all to allow yourself to ponder on, maybe your own journey, your own experience. And perhaps you can also think about how you might empower somebody else with this idea, this concept, this message. I see some chicken and dumplings. Steve's had some gravy. Great. Sound like some delicious food. I enjoyed a lot of that too. I remember, so from extraordinary to ordinary, WTF. When we are born, you think about the statistical probability of us even being conceived, and it's 1 in a bazillion. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's a 1 in billions, 1 in millions, 1 in trillions chance. It's a mathematical improbability that you and I are actually here. Yet here we all are. And we're here by some miracle, some miraculous thing. What is it called? Immaculate conception, or whatever term we want to use. Actually, I should probably move this thing over. And here we are. Out of all the possible DNA combinations that could have come, that was an interesting choice of words. Out of all the possible DNA combinations that were formed, it was you and it was I. And so here we are. And so I think that as a premise, the foundation of who we are is extraordinary, because it's an extraordinary act that we literally defied the odds and showed up, and here we are. Now, what happens? We go from extraordinary to ordinary. I want to share 2 stories to illustrate this. The concept of ordinary, the ideology of ordinary, and it's not to say this is a bad thing, but what it is to say is it's to say that sometimes throughout life, whether it's at birth, whether it's along our journey, we can be learned out of our greatness, our potential, our possibility. We can be learned out of the reality that we are extraordinary. We were extraordinary at birth. We were born with literally infinite possibilities and potential. And that starts to fade away because we start to learn things. We're taught things. And it doesn't have to be that way. And it definitely doesn't have to be that way from this moment on. going. When I was about 6, 7 years old, I remember I was at that age where many people might be, where you want to be a professional athlete. I think at that time, a lot of young boys will oscillate between professional athletes or between police officers or firefighters or something like that. And I was on a professional athlete wanting to be a baseball player at the time. I remember I had a picture up on my ceiling that I would fall asleep every night of one of the Dodgers pitchers at the time. I loved to play baseball. I'd collect baseball cards, all those types of things. And one day I was down visiting my grandparents, and I remember, and it's still a very vivid memory etched in my mind. I was walking down the stairs with my grandmother, and she asked me the question that so many of us get asked. And it's one of the first questions that really probably start to stamp out the flame of extraordinary and start to dim our light into the ordinary. And that's the question of, what do you want to be when you grow up? And maybe I should preface that by saying it's not so much the question, but it's how the person responds to our response. And that's really what dims out the flame of extraordinary. And for me, the response I got was, I said, I want to be a baseball player, Nana. She would be mortified if I called her grandma, because she should say, Nana would say, grandmas are old. I said, I want to be a professional baseball player, Nana. I want to play for the Dodgers. And she looked at me and said, Jesse, you don't want to be a professional athlete. Athletes are stupid. You want to do something. You want to be someone who uses your brain. You want to have a job that uses your brain. Don't be a stupid athlete. And I remember in that moment going from this wide-eyed wonderment of the world about, yes, I want to be this professional baseball player. I had this desire to dream, to go after this thing, to it quickly just shriveled down and diminished. It was as if the flame I had inside of me for my future was this burning hot campfire of potential. And it was just doused out with water and covered with dirt. And no Duraflame log would reignite it. It was tragic, to say the least, because I really did at that time in my heart wanted to be. Now, that's not to say that I ever would have become one, or if I would have had the talent, the athleticism, the work ethic, or all those things actually go into making something like that the truth. But what happened is I learned in that moment that athletes were stupid, and that I didn't want to be stupid. I wanted to do something to use my brain, which is really my grandma's. And so what I didn't understand at the time, or what I didn't realize at the time, was my grandma was superimposing her own beliefs, limitations on it, right? My grandma was not shy about espousing to others her level of education and what a big deal that was. And she thought that was the what's the word? That was a ticket into high society, because that was a really important thing for her. She wanted to be recognized by others. She wanted other people to acknowledge her status and all these types of things. And so much of her life was spent trying to impress other people. And she thought that the path to doing that was with this. Now, that doesn't in any way dismiss Nana's love for me, or that she didn't care or anything like that. Sometimes we'll put these labels on people who will say these types of things as thinking they don't care about us, they don't understand us. And nothing could be further from the truth, right? Oftentimes they're doing it from a good place, a genuine place. It's just that they don't know what they don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And they don't realize how impactful a statement like that can be on a young mind, or for any mind. It radically changed me. And the moment I had those extraordinary dreams of being a professional athlete, and it went from, again, this big, just burning potential to nothing. It was squelched out. She dumped the water on it with her response. The last thing I wanted to do is, I knew how important it was for my grandma, and I didn't want to let her down. I loved her. I wanted her approval. I wanted her love. I wanted her, all those types of things. I didn't want her to be disappointed in me. And so I stopped, in those moments, I stopped dreaming of being a professional baseball player. I want to give you a contrary example of a wonderful parenting thing I saw. A few years ago, a couple of my really dear friends, their son, who's now, I think he's a little over 5, was maybe just shy of 2. And he's a pretty fearless kid, getting into stuff, going all these things. And I remember he was up on the top of the couch, and he was getting ready to jump off the arm of the couch. And he was doing it like he could fly. So he was getting ready to do a full Superman. And the couch was pretty high, and there was linoleum tile below. And I don't think he had fully developed a proper respect for gravity or any of those types of things like that. So he gets up and he summons all of his courage and all of his might. And he makes the announcement that he's going to go up, up, and away. Actually, as I recall this right now, he didn't really make that much of an announcement, which is cool. He wasn't doing it for the attention. He was doing it for his sheer desire to explore and, I think, challenge himself and how he saw the world at the time. So he dives off the couch. And as you can imagine, when it's you versus gravity, gravity's going to win probably 99.9999% of the time. And if you figure out that 0.001 where gravity doesn't, let me know, because I'd love to find out how that works. Wham, he hits the floor really hard. His lip starts to tremble. His eyes start to tear up. He gets ready to cry. And it was a cry of pain, but it was also a cry of fear. Parents, you've recognized this in your children before, where you see them all of a sudden, they run into an obstacle, they run into a wall, and where there was once this fearlessness from them, this potential, this extraordinary vision that they could do anything, there all of a sudden it's replaced with fear, and there's a timidness that emerges. Now, I think there's a healthy appreciation for things that could hurt us, gravity, right, glass, any of those types of things, common sense stuff, a boiling pot of water. And it's also really empowering to allow someone just to be able to explore and do on their own. So his mom runs up to him and did something really remarkable that I hadn't seen a lot of parents do. She grabs him by the shoulders, helps him up, grabs him by the shoulders, looks him right in the eye and says, "You're okay. You're okay. You're a big boy. You're a strong boy. You're okay. You're fine." And just her calm, steady voice and looking him direct in the eye and reassuring him of something that was really valuable to him at the time, that he valued highly. His stature, right? That he was a big boy, that he was strong, that he was capable of those things, was so empowering for him, because you immediately saw the fear in that moment leave his eyes, and he's got right back to this wide-eyed wonderment of what he could do anything. Now, being able to be a part of his life these last few years and observe him as he grows, and I don't know how much is attributed to that one moment or consistent moments like that throughout his parenting, but he's still doing really extraordinary things for a kid his age. He's smart, he explores, and his parents encourage him to try new things and do different things. And so he's living this life where he's on this trajectory where he's not being told no, or he's not being told limits. He's being told and encouraged to do these things and challenge himself and try new things. The most recent example is I got to go see him race these go-karts a few months ago. And he was racing go-karts against kids that were 2, 3 years old, 4 years older than him. And he held his own. He did awesome. He didn't win yet, but it's only a matter of time until he does, because his parents are encouraging him and letting him know that extraordinary is still possible for him. So let's come full circle with this now. We're born into extraordinary. We learn our way out of extraordinary into ordinary. We learn to settle for just meh in our relationships. We learn to settle for just meh in our health. We learn to settle for just meh in our quality of life, and our job, and our financials, and our purpose, and our potential, right? It's because someone tells us once upon a time that we're not good enough unless we have this piece of paper that says we have this education, or we're not good enough unless we drive a certain car, or we're not good enough unless we wear a certain kind of clothes, or we're not good enough this, or maybe they don't even tell us that. Maybe we just happen to see a news commercial or something on the TV that suggests that, and we decide that for ourselves. But somewhere along the line, if you have something in your life that is not extraordinary, remember that you came from extraordinary, and that the potential to still be and do and achieve and experience extraordinary is inside of you. But the only thing holding you back at this point right now is you. Because as much as we can assign blame for our parents and our grandparents for teaching us, I could sit there and point the finger at Nan all the time and say, "Hey, I didn't become a professional baseball player because of her." It's very true. She did deter the course of my life. But here's the thing. I still have that same extraordinary potential inside of me. Now, whether I chose to use it for a professional baseball player or something else is up to me. It's my choice, right? It's up to me. It's my choice. See, the extraordinary potential, why someone may tell us that we can't or we're unable to, why we may learn that our dreams aren't worth pursuing at some juncture in our road, the potential inside of us never diminishes. It just kind of fades away. It's almost like that faint flame, a small little flicker of a candle on a really dark night. It doesn't illuminate everything, but what it does illuminate is perhaps the most important thing, your 2 feet. And with those, you can take a step forward and towards whatever it is you really want and whatever is really on your heart that you're after. So I encourage each and every one of you who are watching this message today that if you're receiving it with an open mind and an open heart, to do the following. If in any aspect of your life you feel that you've settled for ordinary and that you still would desire extraordinary in that area, look at that light within, that candle light, and look down at your own 2 feet and ask yourself, what is one step I can take today? What is one step I can take right now towards that extraordinary? Whether it's extraordinary in your relationship, in your career, in your financial life, in your health. It might be something as simple as if you want to work on your health, doing a push-up right now. It might be something as simple as if you want to work on a relationship, reaching out to your partner and just telling the one thing that you really appreciate about them. It might be something as simple as that if you really want to do an overhaul in your mindset and your heart set, you reach out to a mentor, a coach, someone who can help you do that, who is masterful at doing those types of things. See, at any given moment, including this one right now, we are all always just one step away from our next extraordinary journey. The time of blaming and complaining others for why things are the way they are is long gone, because right now you have the power in your life to change it. You have the power to control your feet, to take the steps that you can take. So I encourage you to look at that light within. A small little glow can illuminate the amazing path to your potential and your extraordinary future. It's up to you to take those next steps. I hope this has been helpful for you. Any questions about this? I have a couple minutes for questions. Any questions? Let me just scroll through and see if I got any on here. I see lots of people joining on Instagram, waving. How do you wave? Can you just click it? Oh, cool. It's interesting doing these on both things. Hello from Arizona. Things that people say to us can devastate our hopes and dreams. You're absolutely right, Linda. They can. And we can also recognize that at this juncture in our life, sticks and stones can break our bones, right? But names can never hurt us. The power words have over us is only the power we choose to give words. If we want to take full control of our life, that means taking full control of the vocabulary that others project onto us and realizing that often people's external projections are nothing more than a mirror of their internal projections. I agree, Dinas. Things happen for deeper reasons sometimes than we can see. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I don't see any questions pop up. So if I can be of any help, if any of you want to dive a little deeper into this, be sure to send me a quick message and we can explore this a little more. I would love to help you. One of my greatest joys on a day-to-day basis is helping people move from ordinary to extraordinary in one aspect of life. Steve, how do you associate this topic full circle with the loss of a loved one? Great question, Steve. I think a lot of times after loss, there is this hole, immense hole inside of us because we feel so much of our, consciously or unconsciously, so much of the quality of our life, our perceived quality of our life, our blueprint for how we saw life turning out was attached and associated to the assumption that the other person or persons that we lost would be a part of it. I know for me personally, I've lost a number of people I'm very close to, friends, family members, best friends. This last year alone, I had 7 or 8 people that who were family members, friends that passed away, some expectedly, some unexpectedly. And so when we have this view, right, of our blueprint, part of what we have or we perceive as what would be extraordinary for us is with these other people being a present part of it. And then suddenly they're gone. They're no longer there, whether it was expected or unexpected. There becomes this absence. The blueprint doesn't make sense. The vision that we always had for the future doesn't quite, 2 + 2 is no longer equaling 4 in these dynamics. So to answer your question, how do you associate and bring it full circle the loss of a loved one? I really, with all my heart, believes it comes down to your choices you make and how you live your life. A lot of us, so there's an idea that we suffer after loss because we're so focused on how our blueprint for how things were supposed to be didn't match up to the reality that we're actually experiencing. And so there's this loss that we're mourning the actual person, but there's also the loss of all the things that we were expecting, like how we were expecting life to turn out. And when we're constantly focused on what we've lost, how life isn't going to be how we thought it would be, the birthdays we won't be able to celebrate, the good times we won't be able to have, special moments like that. I remember one of the first things I went to when my dad passed away unexpectedly was how my dad wouldn't be present for, a birthday, how my dad wouldn't be present for to see me give big talks, see me lead trainings, how I would never get to have a beer with my dad or just sit down and talk to him, or those types of things. When my best friend was killed unexpectedly, I remember going right to just thinking about all these special times, trips we were going to take, ideas we had, charities we were going to start, all these things that we had, and how those weren't going to happen in the way I thought. And so what would happen is it would cause this persistence of sadness, of grief, of suffering. So to bring it full circle, if we want to get back to extraordinary, we have to choose to make a choice to live our life in an extraordinary way that honors our loved ones we lost. Because what we can all know in our hearts, and here's what happens: suffering persists because we're focused on ourselves in much of the way. I really believe that if we start to condition ourselves to focus on the wishes of the loved ones we've lost, really asking them and acknowledging what they would want for us. What would their wishes be for us? How would they want us to live this day? How would they want us to live this moment? How would they want us to live life as we move forward? I doubt very much, and I've yet to find the person who would say that person would want us to suffer incessantly, would want us to be sad or upset, but really they'd want us to be happy, to feel joyous, to love, to pursue our dreams, to live extraordinary lives. And if we want to truly honor those people and bring it full circle to your question, Steve, then our life needs to become exactly that, one pointed in the direction of honoring them. One point in the direction of acknowledging what we know in our hearts they would want for us and choosing to live an extraordinary life, not for us, but for them. Because if we do this, it gives us the potential to, while we can't cheat loss, we can still have them, our loved ones, be a presence in our life, a presence that doesn't substitute their physical presence. But what it does is their presence becomes one, instead of it being grief and guilt and sadness, which is what we'll typically associate to them when we're feeling sad, we're missing them, we're suffering. Instead, it becomes one of happiness, of joy, of fulfillment. And it becomes one that's much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Congruent with the role they initially played in our life. And in that and of itself, and them allowing them, their presence, even though it's physically not there, to still be a present in a congruent way, meaning in a way that they were in life, a space, a presence of love, a presence of joy, a presence of happiness. That's how we get to extraordinary after loss. It's about life, and it's about living, and it's about life and living with the intention to honoring them. Because one way or another, their legacy forms, our loved ones' legacy forms after we lose them. And if every time we think about them, we associate sadness, grief, guilt, shame, pain, anger, etc., which is a lot of the common emotions we will, think about what kind of legacy that starts to build for them. But imagine what kind of legacy they'd really want. I'm willing to bet your loved ones, my loved ones, most of our loved ones who we've lost would want us to have legacies of, when we think of them, we want to think of happiness, joy, love, all those types of things. And ultimately, how we choose to live our life after someone we love is gone is our opportunity to honor them. And it's ultimately what their legacy will become in our life. And I would encourage each and every one of you on here who have lost someone and who are wanting to live an extraordinary life after loss to really think about that in context of, rather than your own emotions that you're feeling, acknowledge those, feel them, but also take the time to acknowledge what your loved one would want to you. Speak out to them. I talk to mine all the time and just say, hey, what do you think I should do here? What would you want me? How would you want me, especially in the early stages? And then make it a point to live the moment, live your day in honor of them, not for them, not about them, but in honor of them. And I think if you start to do that, you'll start to see an experience. Yeah, you're very welcome. Was that helpful, Steve? And you definitely give it a shot and let us know. And Steve, if you want to, you can definitely message me offline and we can dive into it a little deeper. Holly says, I'm so happy about the story of I so needed this today. Oh, you're awesome. And I'm glad it reached you. Fantastic, Steve. Holly said, my son had tried out for football this year and was told 7th graders did not make it. He asked me what I thought. I said, go for it. Do not let people let you believe you're not good enough. He made the team. That's so awesome. And was an awesome player. He also has educators that tell him that he needs to step it up. He has a learning disability. And they also tell him there's not help in high school. I tell him there's always help, and where your passion is. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Holly. That hits a nail on the head with our blueprint. I can't get past it. So, Tiffany, it's going to be really hard to get past it when we're so focused again on certain emotions or obstructions. If we see a wall in front of us and our focus is on the wall, it's going to be really hard to get past the wall. To get past it, we have to look at something beyond the wall or something other than the wall, right? And that's where we go to this idea of honoring them, of what they'd want, because our wall exists because we're so focused on how we think it should be, on what our blueprint, our expectation of reality should be. And I don't know about all of you, but I have yet to figure out how the fuck to make reality work with me in the way I want it to work. It usually throws me a curve or 2 or 5. And that sometimes is on a day-to-day basis. But what I have learned how to do is I've learned that there is this reality that comes in form of life happens, life events. But then there's my control over the reality I experience and how I choose to respond to reality, what I choose to focus on, how I choose to direct my energy. I know that there might be a wall in front of me, a challenge, an obstacle. And beyond that can be whatever I choose to make of it. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get to go back in time and have things as they were. But what it can mean is I can chart a path forward. I can make a life beyond that. Certain people who I wish were a part of it may not physically be a part of it, but they can still be a mental and emotional part of it too. And that's where we really have a profound space to create change, is allowing our loved ones to still be a part of it and a source of joy in our life, even when they're passing. I am here with all of you right now because of one of my closest friends committed suicide and my dad dying. Honest to God, I would not be here without my losses. It was the things that really got me to dig in and start to look at myself and say, why do I feel this way? And if I feel this way, there must be other people that feel this way. And if there's other people that feel this way, I want to help them out. I want to figure out why we do what we do and all those types of things. And so much of and part of how I honor them and how I live each and every day is by doing these types of things like that, because they get to be a part of it. They're a presence. They're a presence I hold in here and in here. And I allow that to happen. And I allow them to be a part of my joy in life. And is it as easy as you snap your fingers and poof? No, not at all. You got to work at it. It's a day-to-day practice. It's a day-to-day practice. And it's something that with persistence and consistency, you can definitely make the shift. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful for you all. If you have any other ideas, thoughts, questions you want to ask me, be sure to message me offline. If some of you will feel like you're in this kind of ordinary space and you want to dig out of it and get to the extraordinary, send me a message. Let's talk about how we can get you on a coaching program that will help you with that. I'll be back here tomorrow afternoon with another message, and I hope you will join me then. In the meantime, wherever you are, whether it's morning, noon, or night, I appreciate you all sticking with me. I know this ran a little longer than normal. Sending lots of love to each and every one of you, and we will see you later. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.